Hey everyone, welcome to Mini Paint Stop. I'm Liz, I paint minis, and you're welcome to stop at my channel for a bit. Today I'm painting an Azyrite Fountain from the Age of Sigmar range. I got this model from the Hatchet Partworks magazine. Games Workshop have partnered up with them to produce subscription magazines for a few times now, and there's a new one coming out soon that I'm really looking forward to. In each magazine you get the sprue, a build and a paint guide, and also some interesting lore bits. It looks like the Azyrite Fountain, and also the accompanying treasure chest piece, isn't available anywhere else except through the magazine, so I couldn't actually find that much information on it. So the first step to painting any mini is to assemble it. The assembly for this piece was actually really quite simple, just snip, snip. And it's always worth cleaning up the edges where the sprue attaches to each piece, just to make it smooth on the outside, and often also easier to attach. Don't follow my example, by the way, please do it safely. Once you're finished with smoothing everything down and you're happy that everything lines up as expected, just stick the pieces together with a little bit of plastic glue. But I did make a mistake. This comet piece is supposed to have a little stick on the bottom that attaches to the mechanical orb, but I snipped it off the top of the orb thinking it was part of the sprue. So when I attached it to the orb, it's actually a lot closer than it really should be. But once I'd assembled it, it's time to prime. Priming is a super useful step. It's like an initial layer of paint that helps further layers of paint stick to the model better. I primed the whole thing in Colourforge's Ossified Earth, apart from a little bit where the top section and bottom section meet. I started painting with a whole lot of white paint, in this case Army Painter's matte white, in order to get a marble feel. White paint is kind of notorious for being a little bit rubbish, so I've got a lot of paint on my palette to apply over several layers. I paint the main body inside and out, gotta make sure to get all the sides inside all those little crevices, even though I'll probably paint over them later. And I'm doing the same with the top piece, just to make sure it's consistent when I stick them together at the end. The next step is to do a wash, and I'm using Ragnar Flash Shade for it. Pristine marble doesn't really exist in a ruined city, so I'm kind of dirtying up with this. Am I technically applying a fleshy wash to a stone surface? Don't worry about it, it's fine. The next bit I want is a little bit of copper colour to make the details look like tarnished copper. So I go over the bits I want with Game Colour's Bright Bronze. That includes this trim around the bottom, and the inside and outside of this capstone. I'm also doing a little bit of edge highlighting, kind of, to pick up the raised bits on this capstone. And then to bring a little bit of brightness to the marble, I'm going to gently dry brush it with the same white I base coated in little round motions. Now I've got to tarnish the bronze with this bright pale green from Acryl. I've watered it down into a bit of a wash, so it sinks right into the little crevices like water would. Spoiler, it kind of doesn't go as well as I've planned. I've managed to use it to tarnish bronze colours really nicely in the past, so it's kind of a shame it didn't go as well here. I've added this wash to the capstone and to the band at the bottom, and I went in a bit too heavy at the band, so I'm going back over it with the bronze, which I then go over again with the green, but a little thinner. sometimes you kind of have to reset the work you just did. That's just how life is. All that green has dulled out some of the raised bits I wanted to keep bronze, so I went over those with a dry brush this time to pick them out again. My next step is the final step of the bronzing, which is a thin wash of Reichland Flesh Shade. This means the green won't be super duper bright and it'll kind of tie all the colours together. Now I'm going to use Abaddon Black to pick out some of the details. There are bones and broken bottles inside the fountain, and also little lion head icons on the side. And then there's a little bit of ground at the front, which I'm painting brown to look like mud. Now it's time to do the top. I start with some bronzy gold, this time using Retributor armour, just because it was closest to hand honestly, just to touch up the bits I painted before on the outside and inside of the bowl. I'm painting the claws holding the bowl in black, just to match the icons on the side. Pro tip, sometimes it's really helpful to turn the model upside down to get easier access to some areas. Right, remember that mechanical orb? It's time to paint over that too. I'm starting with white to cover the whole thing. Then it's some more Reichland Flesh Shade over the white. Unfortunately, I painted all of this a little bit off camera. And now we have an angle change because I decided to switch things up a bit. Time to add green wash to the bronze bit at the top, thin down with a little water. And here is the final result. I'm pretty happy with how this paint job came out actually. It looks sufficiently weathered to be a ruined fountain, though maybe some of the bronze is still a little too bright. One key thing with every project though is to recognise when it's good enough to be finished, because there is always more work you could do, but should you do it? That's how I've approached making this video as well. This is my first video. Let me know if you have any tips for me. In the meantime, thank you all for watching. I hope to see you soon.